Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your main man, Rico Roxx, host of Social Suicide, coming at you live. What's going on, baby? So, today's episode, Rico Roxx, Social Suicide. Today, I have a guest, Jack B. He stumbled into the show one night, and I was not really expecting a long-form conversation. Was not in the mood, but as it follows, as it were, we ended up having an amazing time, and it was the first time I talked to this guy, and it was quite prolific. So enjoy the meeting of Jack B. And this was recorded live on Podbean, but you can find it everywhere your podcasts are found. Social Suicide Podcast, Social Suicide. And please check it out. Email Rico Roxx, RICOROXX 221 at gmail.com. Hit me up. Enjoy Rico Roxx Social Suicide episode 61. Or is it 62?
To really even entertain it.
Hey, VR, what's up?
Hello,
I can't
folks.
even give him too much space in my mind.
Folks, the next person we have on has the biggest dick that side of the Mississippi. Let's welcome Jack.
Okay, I don't have the biggest dick, but I have a dick head.
Oh, welcome Jack.
Yes. How you all?
Oh, we're doing great over here. We're just rocking and rolling in the studio. I was listening to an old archived recording of me, El Gato, Caps, and a bunch of other old Podbeaners.
Do you hear me clear?
Very clear. You sound really great.
Okay, good. Okay.
You must have a good mic.
You as well.
Do I?
No,
Oh, that's great.
I'm just using my phone, yes.
Yeah, phone mics aren't bad.
I'm just hanging around tonight, just checking in who's live.
Nice. What is your interest? What do you want, obviously if you just find something that just starts soothing you, you're gonna keep listening. But when you go out fishing, would you go out for people like intellectual content, or just like a hang, or do you go out for a little attention? Like, do you go out to get your mind inspired? Like, what do you go out seeking?
So great question. I like information. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I love just to hear a lot of people speaking, because I always will be a lot of knowledge in the room when there's a few people. So I'm a listener. Right. Usually I don't like to take the mic, but
why not? That's surprising.
If I get the offer, I take it.
You sound like a freaking super smart guy, honestly. Like, just based off just your couple sentences I've shared with you, you sound like a brilliant guy. Why not? Like, you haven't developed a conversation style yet, or?
I do have a good English, but I never practiced it in a way, like in a podcast way. So it's like, for me, recently I did some recordings for myself, like some ideas, and I
just like some rants.
Yes, because I was thinking to myself, first let me see if it's nice for myself, and later I'll start thinking if it could be content.
Let me give you a little. Yeah, let me just tell you this. Your voice is okay, but my voice is okay too. Like, not the greatest. Like, your voice isn't like, oh my God, that voice is amazing. But my voice isn't either. I can admit it.
My voice is more of on the squeaky side, and that also.
Your voice is a little bit. Yeah, you're right. But see, I'll tell you.
My confidence. I don't want to be sounding like I want to be sounding like a man.
You don't want to sound like a little. You want, yeah, exactly. I hear you. Because you hear some voices that are just so damn soothing and so damn just penetrating, and yeah, baby, I am a man who does. So, but I'll tell you, man, I've realized something though, that the voice is not the main thing. Yeah, exactly. Trust is a good word, because you see where I'm getting at. The voice, if you're going to be somebody worth listening to, the voice is nice. They're having a good strong voice, but at the end of the day, that's shallow. Like, I think we're people with like us, and just, I don't know what you are like, but just for example, are more deep. And then you could also, like you said, knowledge sometimes trumps sound and aesthetic. And so therefore, your thoughts, just for them to be expressed, but that would come from you gathering your information that you're gathering, and then formulating in your brilliant mind, if you have one, some realizations in something in which you're not hearing or hearing enough of, or not, and then you develop then those words, then you have something to say. You have something like, okay, I've analyzed this, I've learned this, and now I have to tell you guys, based on that, have you guys realized what is going on with it? And then you could say it, because even though I started podcasting 2.5 years ago. I started a podcast, and my voice, I'll tell you, not the best. I have a good voice, but it's okay. It's okay at best.
Yes.
But over listening to myself for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, I've fallen in. At first, because first you don't want to just lie to yourself either. Like, am I gonna just lie to myself and convince myself that my content is good but not? So it's like I really try, like, or is this something that someone could listen to? And I think you can develop trust, like you mentioned, in a listener if you have something insightful to say, man. And I think my voice, even though it's not, wasn't too happy with it. Now when I hear it on recordings, I'm like, wow, that's the legendary guy. So based on that,
it is. I actually do come across, like, you would hear your voice for a podcast, I would go for it the first minute.
huh?
I say, if I would hear your voice on a podcast, I would go for it, like, by the first minute. Because I had first listened to when you hear, there are certain voices you need to hear, it needs to catch you the insight. If not, you would just go to the next. There's voices what you'll just hang around because there might be the insight coming up. I think by me, if I don't have the person, like, right away interested to say, they wouldn't stay for the voice. And that's
yeah, but I'll tell you, can I just say real quick, not to interrupt, I'm gonna let you say something. I just want to say real quick, your voice is not, it's okay, but it's not bad. Like, it's not like painful. Your voice isn't rejecting, which is good. You're neutral, which is good. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks for the compliment. We'll go ahead with it. We'll go with the flow.
Yeah, no, so yeah, because that's the one thing. If your voice is repulsing, then then it could even take away from the insight. If your voice was just unbearable, your voice is not. You have, because yeah.
Yes, no, I want to say that I think I'm good to be a filler, like a fill up, but not like the main content. Like, I could be like,
really, I don't think,
you understand? There's like 3 people in the room. Like, there is like a podcast of 3 people, I believe.
I don't know. That's weird. I don't know.
I could be more of a background, like a fill-in, but like.
Let me ask you this. That's some weird thoughts you're having. I don't know why you're thinking like that. Because what if there was nobody listening? What if it was just you talking to your own brain, or you talking to one person? I don't know. I feel like it's a very. I mean, you're just being real, which is cool. But let me ask you this. Can you try to give me a voice that, like, right now, give me like a version that you wish your voice on, like, try to do your best, like, voice that is not your normal talk, like, give me your, like, if you can act accents and shit like this.
Sure, but the thing is, I think I would have to hear myself I don't hear myself, so I wouldn't be able to know. So
no, exactly, but I just want to hear what it sounds like. For me, do it for me. I want to hear, like, give me your most seductive, most, like, take your time, like, slow your, like, give me an accent if you need to, but I just want to hear, like, what you think would sound better than your normal voice. Like, what do you think that your voice would sound better like? Go ahead. For fun.
Okay, let me think a second. Hey guys, we came out today for a great content for another podcast. Let's go sit down and go smash it. Let's have tonight the greatest guest of honor. What's the name? Kim Kardashian. Let's all give applause and let's go straight to meat potatoes.
Jesus Christ. Lizzie White, are you hearing this kid? This guy's the next fucking. No, I'm just kidding. No, man, that you sounded just like your normal voice. Really, I don't know. I don't really see much of a change there.
Okay, good. Okay, good. We're good with it. Okay. What subject are you going for?
Right now?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean? I don't know. I kind of just am like, I was having fun just opening up to you about our inner thoughts about, like, just how we sound out to the world. Do you want to keep going on that?
Okay, sure. Okay.
So have you heard any of my content? Not to make it about me, but have you heard, like, okay,
no,
interesting.
No.
I've seen your name a couple times.
Yes, I'm on this place ready for 2-3 years. At least 3 years. 3 years. But usually I just participate quietly. I was.
But so you've never like you popped in, but you've never sit around and listened to. So you have no
Never.
idea. You've never even like listened for a moment just to kind of get a feel for it for my mindset.
No, because I don't have a set time when I log in. So it's like randomly, I don't whoever's there. So it's like it could be a lot of times like a drunk vibe. It could be a lot of times like news vibe.
Bro, because I'll tell you, based on your understanding of like you listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to just a bunch of them. Lex Friedman.
Friedman. Oh damn. Oh, that was my top list. But I listen it on Spotify, not on Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And my podcast. Follow my podcast on Spotify. Social Suicide. Go ahead, do it, man, please. Yeah, but I listen to so just to let you know the range. I listen to the Meat Eater podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with the Meat Eater podcast.
What about this Full Send Boys?
I've never heard one episode. Do you recommend it?
No. It is like more to the comic side from like Bad Boys. It's not toxic. There is a lot of times like a toxic setting. There is a Fresh and Fit. You got to hear Fresh and Fit.
They're talking about the podcast? A podcast called Fresh and Fit?
Yes.
Do you recommend that?
No, actually, I think it's toxic. It's cool.
What do you mean by toxic?
It's like basically they bring up some chicks and then they interview them and then they make them they manipulate it in some way. They should look like.
I love toxic.
They should look like nuts. They should look nuts.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so then I do recommend it for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because there's a range, man. There's a range. Like, I have a range where it's like intellectual podcasts. Then I listen to comedy podcasts. I listen to Kill Tony a lot when I just want to like hear something funny, hear like a bunch of cool shit. Kill Tony is the podcast that is the #1 live show podcast for. It's like Joe Rogan. It's podcast. But then I also listen to.
What about?
Right.
I don't hear you exactly clear. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What about Andrew Huberman? You listen to him ever?
I've heard him in a couple podcasts, but I've never listened to his podcast. He's pretty chill.
Lex with him get along as well.
Yeah. I've listened to some Sam Harris, shit like that.
Oh, okay. But Lex is a legend.
Yeah, I love Lex, dude. Lex is one of the. I'm actually pretty picky, man. I'm actually like a snob when it comes to like. I have a hard time listening to like underground podcasts or my homies' podcast, shit like that, and like because I truly like need to trust. Like you mentioned, the word trust is really good, but I get in moods. Like after I listen to a little intellectual stuff, and then I need to hear some comedy for a while. Then after that, it's like I switch up the pace to get to give certain parts of my brain rest. And needless to say, based on that though, my podcast and just the person I am, since you don't know me, but I am on Podbean, I would love for you to get to know, because I don't know how long I'll be alive or whatever, because I'm not the kind of person who lives for longevity. It's like I don't have a plan of being an old grandpa with grandkids and having a house. My plan is just I live in the moment kind of guy. Like I'm just trying to, but throughout the years, my mind has been ultrasound, which is really, really good. Like I haven't lost my mind or started getting mental illness. Like for some reason, life is giving me a chance.
What do you mean? You are getting challenged or not getting challenged?
No, I'm not changed. I said changed.
Oh, changed. Because I do.
Yeah, like my mind is not going away. Because you would think like as reckless as I am with the mind, but then above all the crazy shit I do, my perception and my analyticalness has never left me, and it's insane.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good because some people are like play it safe, and I played it the opposite of safe, and that's what I'm saying. Like I would love for you to check my stuff out and come back, because I am one of the ultimate philosophers on Podbean, honestly. So I'm not just like a popular guy.
Where do you, so you actually put on content on Spotify?
Yeah, I started my podcast here on Podbean, but I'm on Apple Podcast, Spotify, you name it, I'm there. But because for the RSS feed, but I do my live shows here, and this is where I pay Podbean to host. Like, this is where I pay. Like, this is the podcast platform I host from. But my platforms, like, because I started podcasts before I found lives. Like, I didn't join Podbean to be a live show guy. I started podcasts because I thought I could really truly have a podcast that would be recognized by thinkers and entertaining and thoughtful and enjoyable to listen to.
So was one yourself or on your own or one-on-one with someone else?
Well, at first, since I didn't know, like, I just started it was new to me. I didn't know much about it. I started listening to podcasts just few years ago, just like 3 years ago. I started listening to podcasts, and then I was like, I started like one day. What? Go ahead.
When you started, when you started giving a podcast, did you start like you gave your own thoughts?
Alone, exactly. Yes. My first 20 episodes was just me talking to. I didn't even do it. I just would talk. I would start a recorder on my phone and then talk for an hour, and then I would upload it. So it was just me.
Oh, that's cool.
I wanted to, yeah, exactly, because like, it was just me. Like, I was like, this is my philosophy, like, and I go back and try to listen to some of them, and I've definitely gotten to some. It's really a trip, but then eventually I started finding live, because then once I was on Podbean for a while, then I was like, after I was here for like a month or two, I was like, let me go see what the community is about, and then I started getting guests, and then I would keep my same style of conversation with guests. I would have riveting conversation, good content, and then so I started getting really guest oriented. Not as in I would go and look for guests, but I would start having just great content with guests. We would bounce ideas off each other. It would just be heartwarming content. But I don't do much solo anymore, but it's something I do think about. But at the same time, I would like to get back into doing more of that.
Sure. It was great meeting. What do you usually discuss? Is it more like health, politics, human condition, love,
sociology, and psychology? So the sociology is the act of the human behavior. Psychology is the way the human mind works, and then also methodology, physical methodology, because based on the sociology and psychology, what are your habits? So I'm a guy who talks about human, because I'm not necessarily talking.
I love that. I love that topic. I actually usually when you don't mind hearing my 2 cents on it, correct? Oh, so like I always like think to myself, when we grew up, I was told like the mind of a person, we only use like 3%, 4%. And I really didn't understand it a lot of years. Like, what does it mean? We're using our brain. But then like I got older, I understood it's referring to the conscious mind. Our conscious mind is only like 3% working. The 97% most probably is we do things, we don't know ourselves why we did it. It's
that's beautiful.
It's already pre-programmed. Like sort of, we wouldn't walk. We know our way. We don't have to think how to walk from.
We don't question the unconscious. We don't turn the conscious unconscious.
So that's like 97% of the person. And I was like thinking to myself, if we could start grabbing more of the unconscious, make it
and turn it conscious. Wow, dude. Jesus, how beautiful that is, man. That's such a beautiful sentence, man.
What am I thinking? What came to think a lot of it? Because I was thinking like a lot of ways how we treated mental health, all like human condition, was we're trying to work with the 3% conscious, and it's not. But it's
you start noticing things.
We're starting to work only with the 3%. So it's a long term, and it's not for sure it's going to help. I think what the world is realizing is a lot of things is trauma, and trauma is a part of the 97% what is unconscious. And if we'll deal with that, it would help for the 3% conscious.
See, now you're losing me a little bit. Now you're losing me. But go.
Why? It's too over the place?
Not at all. You're you're not over the place at all. The opposite of that. You're very fucking fine and refined. But when I've started theorizing about trauma, looking at my own experience and how I've developed my consciousness, I know that there's some role possibly for perhaps there's a big role in trauma, like unconscious, unrecognized role trauma may have on my thoughts and processes. It may have made me sturdy, and I do give my great awakening to a very traumatic event. So I don't want to discount trauma, but the thing about saying that trauma, like giving trauma a big role here, is when we talk about turning your unconscious conscious, trauma almost makes the theory sound to the way I see it is I feel like trauma, the more conscious you get, the more trauma weakens. Because trauma seems like something that is happening because you don't realize it's happening, and it's just something that it's the environment around you, so it formed the way you were. But then as you become conscious, you realize that you had that trauma, and then you can notice your conscious is realizing in the way that the trauma is affecting you. Therefore, then you're not unconscious to it, and therefore it loses its power because now you don't have to fall for the trauma.
Okay, so let me wrap it up again. I was like saying more. We might be saying the same thing. So I'm just going over what I was trying to say, and I just want to get it straight. You don't mind if we should just review what we were speaking, correct?
Correct.
Could I go over?
Yes. It's a trauma. You're just using a term in which I'm a little less like is one of my terms, but yeah.
Because it's thrown out in the street a lot. What I mean to say is like this: a person, our unconscious to get conscious is there's a reason why it's unconscious. It's healthy for the human. It shouldn't be so much conscious. That's because it's not healthy for the person to remember everything in life, everything what he had from his day, because people by nature, they remember horrible things. They get scared a lot. Pain.
Danger.
So if we would have it always on our conscious side, it can mess us up. So the body is healthy by keeping it in the unconscious place. But if we're ready to look at it and take face the part, what is the unconscious, and try to deal with it,
death before dishonor type stuff.
We're going to conquer more of the unconsciousness to pull it over to the conscious, and it would just be freeing for the person for just his human condition. We are by doing therapy on the 3%, let's say, to work on anger and this, we're still working with the 3% consciousness, and it's like, how much are you going to work with it? You still have 97% what could wake up once in a while and throw you off.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you're saying
maybe maybe we are saying the same things. I was just like saying. I
think there's multiple aspects. I think you're actually just not saying the same thing. I think we're talking about two different aspects of the same puzzle. Like we're both describing. Pretend like we're discussing a theory puzzle, a theory jigsaw, a perception jigsaw, where it's a 100-piece jigsaw, and what you're describing is one of the 100 pieces. I feel, which it takes a role, but it's just one of the many aspects. For example, you mentioned this thing of trauma, but I think that with trauma, because you're right, now that I think about it, it's true. Based on the trauma I've had, it affects me. Like, it truly does. But that's a different part of me. That's the part that's not the podcast. That's just like who I am as a person. But when it comes to awakening and taking control of your life and becoming conscious, I think this doesn't necessarily have to do with trauma. I think this has to do with individualism and stuff like this, because and senses. Sensory, the way you see, the way your ears work, the way your senses work, the way your mouth tastes, like all this. Also, this is one of the other pieces, because then based on the senses is what you're going to perceive, and now perception and to the consciousness is like once you realize, pretend like you're a kid and you're unconscious, like you said, 97% unconscious. You're just going with the status quo, like, oh, I'm going to school. Oh, I'm watching people. I'm gonna and you notice there's a pattern.
We're not aware why we did it. We're not even sure how we landed up in here. Like
right, but we're going along with it, right?
Right, we're going along with it. Yeah.
But then you notice this is where I feel like like people who are going for the conquest of more consciousness, they realize that perception through their eyeballs and their ears, they watch the world around them. They become observers as a little kid, and then they see, whoa, like they're going, okay, well, let's watch this scenario. A guy and a girl, two innocent beings, and boom, like, oh, this one's taking the dominant, this one's taking the this. And then so based on that, you're like, whoa. So now this point right here is where you can either stay unconscious or you say, wait a second. I'm watching it very consciously, and I'm going to be very conscious about how I behave, how the observer behaves. And I think this is just a very like embarking of becoming conscious, because then you watch yourself, you notice your own thoughts,
Oh,
you start learning your. Go ahead.
oh yeah. I get it. You're like saying like by a person stepping themselves, like looking at the bigger picture, not looking at the conscious, being in the conscious, standing from outside, understand the condition, that itself, the awareness, and looking at things and a way to get it, it would actually add to his consciousness. So he doesn't.
Yeah,
It
breathes
would be
consciousness.
not
It breathes consciousness.
okay. Now I never did psychedelics, and I never did, but
I have. I've done acid many, many, many times, and I've had
okay.
crazy trips, two bad ones.
My question is, but that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times, people are wondering why does it help people? What is it doing? Could it
I'll
be
tell you
it's
why. You
like
want to know why?
shifting
I can
from
tell you clearly. I can tell you clearly in a way that
yeah
isn't just propaganda. Now, let me tell you. I don't recommend psychedelics for everybody. It depends on how your mind is, I guess. But for some reason, like I mentioned earlier, I have that mind soundness. I don't really get it, but I think it's just the way like genetically, and the way like I happen to be. I don't know, but something about it. So just based on that. So check that. The reason psychedelics, what it does is what it did. Because I was always very perceptive, and I started being conscious before I started tripping. I started tripping at like around 24. So I had 24 years of like previously, so of clarity. So before I started psych, I'm talking hard, like tripping balls, dog, like trip, and it changed me, and it did make me evolve. It pushed me to the next. And the reason why it did is because what tripping does, the reason why it helps is because it exalts you. Let's say you're a person who knows that like something that you're trying to make sense of the world and kinds of stuff, and you're very deep and thoughtful, and you like to pick things apart, and but then so now when you add
you get
psychedelics.
stuck in it.
No, when you add
Yeah, it,
psychedelics, what psychedelics told me is, do not go to the less. Do not do not let this go. Like, instead of going away, because you know how man walks down goes to a crossroad, and he doesn't like, do I go left or go right? Do I become the outlaw, crazy white boy, or crazy wild killer, murderer, gangster, or do I become the good church guy? Like, every man must decide at some point, like, is this worth the fucking fight? Like, where am I gonna spend? Like, where's my true heart gonna go? Like, what's my intention? And when I found psychedelics, and I remember the first time I tripped on acid, the first trip experience, it was like a 12-hour experience, and towards the end of it, I was like, whoa. I know now what I must do. I know what I must do, and that is not conform, not let this go, and like to dig deeper and be more thoughtful, and because with acid, like, because yeah, it alters your senses, it gets you did, but that necessarily was fun, and it was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. But what it really did is it showed me that that the mind is so powerful and deep and misunderstood, and society, the unconscious, are living fine. Like, if they're living a life, it's fine. No hate on them, but they aren't taking it
shallow.
for a drive. They're not taking the car out for a drive. It's like having a car in your driveway and you don't go down. Like, it's like just having it parked. Like, no, don't. Like, if you're alive, man, use this life and fucking go deep into the mind. Go deep into the consciousness. That's why psychedelics.
So my experience wasn't with psychedelics, but I did had a guided breathing. You would laugh because I wouldn't never believe in these things like breathing
Wim
and
Hof?
meditation. No, actually, it wasn't Wim Hof. No, it wasn't that, but it was like a very it was a retreat, and like they were like guiding me to breathing, and like after an hour and a half, I went into an experience what people who did do ayahuasca and
Yeah,
some
I heard of
things
this
I had.
transcendental breathing. I forgot the name, but I've heard of this many a times. I'm trying to remember the name. Yeah.
I had, I think, the same experience like them. I was in totally a different world. I was thinking things that I never thought of. I was
And it
viewing
kind of proved you.
myself.
Did it prove to you that like these thoughts are worth continuing?
Yeah, it put me in place. I became more comfortable with myself since then. I understood it's worth the struggle. There's a reason. It's like a big
Right.
picture. It's like
Yeah. I
I
100%
so
agree.
like
Because I was about to
It was a
conform,
great
bro.
experience.
When I was right before I tripped, like, it was interesting how my life worked out, man. Like, my life has been kind of just crazy. Ever since I was a kid, I was like, what is this? Like, what are we doing here? And, like, just kind of wandering around life, not committing too much because I didn't want to get convinced by somehow. Like, I didn't want to get convinced too easy about things. I didn't want to get distracted too easy. So I was always just, like, just this isolated, cold-hearted motherfucker. And then, like, I was around 24, man. I was like, man, what am I doing with my life here? And I started working at a factory and in Wisconsin, United States, Wisconsin, up north, most random, and that's where I found the psychedelics. So it's interesting where life leads you. And when I found it, like, holy shit, man, it took me because I was on the precipice, man. I was trying to decide, like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna like, because I was like getting tired, not having much, and like I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I such a weird, thoughtful outcast? Like, what is this all for? And I was almost thinking it wasn't worth it. I was like, dude, fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking have a family, dude. Like, I'm just gonna fucking, not saying that'll shut it down, but who knows? Like, I was thinking,
no
like,
purpose, like no
yeah,
purpose.
like, or no curiosity, like shut down the curiosity.
Shoulders down.
Yeah, like, no, just more like shut down the curiosity because I had an overly curious mind, like overly analytical.
Lack of love for yourself and for others, I guess, as well.
No, I mean, you could describe that, but it's almost like like a guy who is like trying to be a boxer, and he's like not winning too much, and so he puts down the gloves. Like, I was about to put down the gloves of the mind. I was about to say, you know what? Like, it's just I've been thinking too long, but then with the psychedelics, like, I fucking had I was like, I'm going to go. I'm gonna keep going. And then it turns out 7-8 years later, Rico Roxx telling you right now, it's so powerful, man. It's sky's the limit, brother. Sky's the limit. But even without psychedelics now, like, I haven't tripped in a long time. You don't need them. I think they show you things and they just reinforce you. Like, it's almost, it's like, yeah, they appreciate you. It shows you some appreciation.
You could go back to that perception when you had it, correct? Like, because
not that perception, but I can go back to the promises. Like, I promised myself. Like, there's certain times I'll be like,
oh, you felt you could be the winner then, and
and so I'd remind myself, like, hey, remember when you felt that? Exactly. So, but I don't. But like, the feeling, the actual perception of it's starting to fade over time, which I'm getting sad about.
Oh yeah, like, definitely. But the message is there. You got
the message is powerful.
It's like.
But that perception, dude, the memory of that first trip, bro, oh my goodness, man. It was so fucking profound for me. It was just,
it took like 2-3 weeks to calm down with my mind from the breathing, only breathing.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. I've never done that. Like, I'm fucking such a lame sometimes. As smart and as much potential as I have a lot. I'm so weak, and so I have a lot of room to grow. But because, yeah, I'm not a super badass fucking, like, I haven't done that. Like, I haven't sat there and sat myself down. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty lazy and weak in some ways, honestly. But my talent and my mind is naturally amazing. But I haven't sat there and put myself like that.
We can shake hands. I don't also hit the gym, even though I want to. And I don't also do the breathing, even though I think it's helpful. And
right.
We are, even though, and we all know that's more helpful than medicine. Everyone is still taking the medicine.
I'm a master breather. I just saying that, brother. Like, I'm actually, I'm a big breather. I'm a weirdo like that. That's one of my, like, things I really, but I'm talking about that guided breathing thing. Like, ever since I've heard people mention that, I've always wanted to try it. And I've never done it. Like, dude, I really need to get on that. And I really want to try that.
Yeah, I don't know if they have it. It's like I was by a group of like.
No, I could look it up online and just do it. I could just look it up online.
The question if it's like a homemade recipe or it was like it's a method what is like online. You know what I mean? That's my question.
Right. See, my talent is not in the breathing to trip. Like, 'cause you're talking about the breathing that activates something. My talent is the more efficient, more optimal breathing for my skeletal health. That I'm a freak about. I'm very paranoid about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We don't know
like
good. Yeah,
right, like I've tried to master the actual way I breathe all the time. I'm continuous. That's like a daily thing. Like, just as how when you wake up and you gotta go pee. Like when I breathe, like consciously, like, dude, get oxygen to your blood and to your bones. Do it. Like, do it.
Do you feel the temperature in your body gets cooler when you breathe? Like when you.
It's interesting. Like body temperature regulation. No, yeah. Not really.
I feel cooler. I feel cooler suddenly when I stop breathing intentionally in like big breaths. I feel my whole body gets very cool. Like suddenly, like it changes temperature.
No, I'm not like. The only time I notice that is when I take cold showers. I'll notice that if my breathing is really good, I don't feel the cold at all. But then, like the
Oh,
cold, the shock of the cold water will not feel too cold. Like it'll just feel like oh, you're fine. But I have to maintain really perfect, like powerful breathing and like good rhythm and like keep the breathing right. Because then if I'm not breathing right, like then it's like torture. Like oh, it's so cold.
fall
But then
back.
yeah, I fall back. So that's the only time I notice it. But in my regular time, nah. When I breathe good, I just know that I feel more healthy. I feel like any virus or any foreign contaminant or any toxin in me is getting my body's immune system is getting stronger. Like that, like the skeleton is becoming refreshed. Like I'm keeping myself oiled up when I breathe. That's how I feel. Like a well-oiled car. Like I'm keeping that shit like and smooth. But man, fascinating talk, Jack. Jack, oh my goodness.
No, so I just want to go on my rant a second. Most probably throughout the years, like you were listening to podcasts, you came across a lot of like these, podcast is a place to start hearing theories and UFOs and a lot of things. But I got I got to find out there is the big pharma. And based on that, I started to think, something. If breathing could help the condition of the person, you think people are going to speak about it? No, because it's not helpful for them. They have a
100%.
medicine on the table.
Yeah, dude,
that's
greed is a motherfucker, dude. Greed and fucking control, a big factor. I don't take medicine. I haven't took Tylenol for years. I don't take ibuprofen ever. Like, I fucking put my hand in a blender like 4 days ago. I'm talking my hand in a moving blender and chopped my hand up on accident. And guess what? I didn't take any fucking painkillers. I didn't fucking no. Like I don't. Like I don't. Like, dude, I don't.
So
None
I
of
used to
that.
pop it. I stopped. I stopped like 2-3 years ago. I decided no, this
What
is
popped?
not
What?
my
What's
medicine.
it?
These people
Like
are
what? Ibuprofen?
anything, even Tylenol. But even like when I
I
go to
drink
a
alcohol.
doctor and they give me the medicine, the first thing I was just thinking to myself, like they don't know better. That's what they would learn. Or that's
Yeah, they're
what they
trying
were
to sell a
taught to give
pill.
medicine. They weren't. Yeah, they're not. They're
I
not
do
going
do
to
drugs
figure
and
out
shit
like
though. I do drugs and take pills, but not for medicine reasons. I do it for
not for
I want to
medicine
get high.
purpose.
I want to get high
I
and I
get
want
it.
to fuck. Yeah.
And this is why I feel it's a lot of things important. People should speak with. That's the power of people on podcasts because they can actually give personal experience what they did. This is they're not going to hear anywhere else. They're not going to hear from a doctor. They're not going to hear it anywhere what actually people say made a difference for themselves. And I'm not saying it
Yeah,
helps
I can get
everyone.
deep with you, bro. We'll get deep one day if you're gonna keep getting deep. Like I'll tell you, because a lot of my shit is self-realized. Like podcasts give me a lot of good knowledge, insight, direction, but like a lot of my most profound theories come from myself.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my own like me thinking about things, like just picking shit apart and like just thinking about it. Like, what is our place? Like we're in man, we're on this plane, like we walk, we breathe, we eat, we did it, and like I really analyze, man. Like analytical is one of my main describers. Like very open
Okay,
minded.
here I have a good one for you. I was thinking of it last week. What is a part of the analytical with thinking about human perception, greed, and everything? I was like thinking, imagine I'm walking down the street and I pass by a shoe store and I see in the window a shoe. It's on it says $100 a shoe. I go into the store. I say, I want this shoe. I want this style from the window. And, I put it on. It's comfortable. It's good. I go to register. They tell me it's $300. I told them, excuse me, I saw in the window, it's on display. It's at $100. So they say, on the window, there's only one shoe. You're getting a pair. So I asked back, what? But I'm getting, so it should be only 200. Why is 300? So they answer back, if you were to buy like two, in the window there's a right shoe. If you were to get two right shoes, would it be 200? But you're getting one right and one left. The left is 200 and the right is 100. So your total is 300. I was thinking about it. I was thinking a lot of times we live in a condition that we are really like fucked up so much. Like we don't think the most simple basics to help ourselves. Like we fall for the most dummiest things. Like this thing,
100%, 100%, 100%. I think I think what you're saying, but at the same time, let's think about this. Let's say you're a guy and you're looking at the shoe in the window. and you see it for $100. Now, like, so before you even go into the store, I would sit there and like I'm looking at that shoe and I say $100. I would like as a pick aparter and analytical, I would say, wow, the material. Like, how much is that material? Like, how much material am I getting for the 100? Okay, so like it's like probably at best, even like let's say it's very good material. At best, $5 worth of material, truly. Like, truly. So, but now so 100. So then you know. Then so whenever you're thinking about that, then it's like, okay, obviously they're feeding into design, fashion.
It's a brand and everything, correct?
Right.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that deep. I was just like thinking by general, like even the finished price product. We're like, and
yeah, this
like,
shit sells in advertising though. That's like marketing.
There's a twist to the end, and like this is human mind. A lot of times we mess up. Like we could go like if you're not going to be straightforward, like sharp mind, you could get messed up with such a story. I'm not saying people will fall for it, but human brain could go weird if we don't stay focused. If we don't keep our guns to ourselves.
Let me ask you this about the shoe. Not to interrupt, but I'm very interested in what you have to say about this. So let's pretend, like, and you don't have to, like, just to give an answer for now, just to see what it says. So if you seen that $100 pair of shoe and then you went into the store and they told you it was $300 and you said, you know what, I only had $100 and I really wanted them, but I guess since it's like that, I guess I'm not gonna get the pair of shoes. I was hoping I could get them. It was gonna be great. Oh well, you move on with life, and now so you leave the shoe store. You're walking down the street and you see a bunch of garbage cans in front of the houses, and you walk by and you notice people, like there's some people who are moving and you're getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and you walk by and you see a pair of shoes that was just like the pair of shoes in the store, but a little dirty, but still very good. And like, would you desire the shoes still? Like, I'm asking you, like, what is your mind on? Would you like be like, oh my goodness, I found the shoes that I wanted? Or does the value of the monetary add to it for you?
Okay, so for some reason, I think what I cannot put in the wash, like I can't go through a wash cycle, I wouldn't take it from other person. Just because it's like whether it's like, I'm not a germophobic, but it's like, I feel if it was on someone else, even a family member, I don't want to wear it anymore.
Really? Even if you can't tell that someone wore it, even if it was in great condition still, like, but just like.
Yeah, it should be washed off. I
agree. It can be washed off, but I'm the opposite, brother. Like, to let you in a little bit about Rico Roxx, like, I was in, like, a couple years ago, I became a dumpster diver, and I'm talking, I would never spend money on clothes, and I still really don't. Unless I don't find it, then I'll eventually have to buy it. But like, based on finding stuff, I've been able to find way better shit than I could ever buy. But
you get to clean it in some way.
Yeah, I clean it. I clean. Like right now, I have these Jordans. Like I've had like so many stuff, dude, and I love that, man, because when you think about it, based on the value, like, oh, I can go spend $100, which I would have to work, let's say, 8 hours for on something, or not to bend that and still have it.
Right.
You just have it, and
right.
So I love that aspect of it. I hate wasting money on things just for the sake, like,
for the brand,
right.
Right? We're not, okay, so like, let's say the shoe what we're speaking, because like when I said 100, Musabi, you were starting to think it's more of a brand, and we're paying for the brand. Let's say,
if you're buying $100 shoes, it's the brand.
It's the brand. So, and then when they tell you it's $300 to register, it's for sure the brand. But
that's a brand. That's a brand. That's like a pair of fucking like Gucci shoes. I don't know.
Yeah. But I was like more the perception. I was like more like speaking like the condition, like if there's no straight communication, stuff go weird.
Right. Well, it's access. It's access as well. Access. Like let's say pharma, right? What pharma does is they have access. They know that you can, like, what they do is they outlawed other drugs like psychedelics and like shit. There's probably
you caught the words out of me. That's why I was thinking it was banned, because it's helpful.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some shit out there, like, that a cure for AIDS, cure for cancer, fucking ivermectin, all these kinds of crazy shit, cure for this. But guess what? They limit the access. They ban it, or they don't put it in, like, they won't prescribe it. So therefore, it's like an access thing too with the shoe thing. It's like, oh, you buy it because it's available to buy. So that's an aspect
Hmm.
as well. So then you have to realize that.
And
So then once you
being
realize
comfortable.
once you realize
Yeah.
that access is being controlled, you realize there's only two options there. Do I fall for it and say, oh, I'm gonna just, since this is the access, well, I guess they're running my life, like, or are you gonna be like, I'd rather not, and be like, I'd rather not go with what's accessible and possibly go without, but better yet, just try to go discover something hidden.
Yeah, but you need to have confidence for that. Because if once you get in a dark place, lonely place, you're fucked up as well.
I
You
don't know.
don't
I don't know,
want to
man. I don't
feel.
know. Because I'm in a dark and lonely place, right? Like I have been for quite some time. Some time, man. I'm talking dark and lonely, but I'm not defeated and ruined by it. It's interesting. I feel like I could be, like, I feel like I'm like just waiting for it. Like, when is it gonna happen? When am I gonna get ruined by it? When is it? I mean, but I feel like dark and lonely isn't necessarily a death sentence. I think it's definitely seems undesirable, but it's,
Oh, but it could change. It's not like a given. Once you're there, it stays like that.
I don't know, man. I live in a hotel right now, bro, by myself in a hotel room.
Cool.
No family around me, nobody around me. Don't fucking have a social life. Like, I'm pretty dark and lonely, but yet I'm still so optimistic and so focused and like just trying to endure this period. Like, it doesn't
Gotcha.
overwhelm me.
Gotcha.
But like most people, you would think like the lifestyle I live, bro. Like people would, but I think it's like where I get back to individual consciousness. I'm so conscious about certain things that the unconscious doesn't win. I think dark and lonely will fuck an unconscious person up.
I get. Anything else? What I was, you gave me a lot of insight today. It was good to chat. It was. Is there any other people on the live?
Yeah, but before you go, like, thank you for getting shit. We talked for a long time, and it felt like 5 minutes. Please come back. Click on my actual profile, follow
Sure.
my show, or on Spotify even. Give it a shot. Like, I don't release episodes unless I feel they're really good. So like I do lives all the time, but I only have 110 podcast episodes in the 2.5 years. So it's not like I'll waste your time there. But before you go, I'd love to share some of my, like, at least one piece of content with you.
Sure.
But let me tell you this: I'm also a poet and a stuff like this, because so I have the mental side of me, the perceptive conscious side, but then also have the just free flowing abyss, just pure articulate, like, expression side of me, where I make music and I rap and I make
Oh,
songs and I
that's cool.
sing and
What about
it's so
art?
with
What about
drawing.
art?
I don't do I
Yeah.
don't do much art. I don't do much art because I have it in the past. My main thing is not that natural, but it's not a big. I'm more of a I use my mouth and my words as my art, really. I'm not more of a visual art kind of guy. I'm a dancer
You
though.
like
Now
the part? What about partying? You like to party, or it takes you
I
to a
used
better
I
place,
used
or
I used to. I haven't done it in a while since, like, a couple of years ago. I really haven't gone any show. But what I used to do for, like, years, what I found also late in life, and then go to my first rave. I don't know if you ever heard the word rave. It's like a show and
yes,
where they do ADM and there's just people dancing, going crazy with light sticks and girls just dancing and guys dancing and just do. And that I used to love that, man. I haven't done it in quite some time, but I was a big raver. Like, I got like big into the scene. I went to a 3-day camping festival where you go and you're at a 3-day rave pretty much, and you camp there, and it's just like amazing artists, like big names too, like Atmosphere, Skrillex, just big people, Marshmello, a bunch of big people, and just I do like that, but I haven't done it in a while. I really miss it. I need to go out, but yes, I do love to
but
party.
it does add to the positive part. Like there's an
Yeah, it does,
emphasis
because
on
that's where I can let go. That is where I let go. Like, because in real life,
yeah.
I have to act
Hmm.
like in this society. I have to act very. I have to go, like, but I mean, some people can let it out, but when I go to a party, I go nuts. Like, I literally just jump up and down, fucking, like, I let any aggression, any anger, I just let, like, no holding back. I just no hold, that's a physical release for me. There's mental and physical. Those are two
But
aspects in which.
there could yet be still the gender differences and feel the shame or some way. Like a lot of times, at the end of the day, not everyone feels comfortable. Like A lot. Let me speak like this. Like, let's say there would be some girls looking at a man who is like letting loose. They would just say, "Let's stand away from this drunk guy." And
No, an
it opposite.
opposite, man. When a guy's letting loose, dude. I think I've always gotten really good responses from it. I think the girls that are like, oh, look, this guy is a guy who is just like, that's the
He
place
owns
to
it.
let go. Yeah, because there's a place to let go and there's a place not to. When you're at a place where you're supposed, like, it's okay to, that's, you fucking go nuts, dude. You have fun there because you know you're not gonna get in trouble. You know, like, I think now if you're hurting people, bad. If you're hurting yourself, bad. But if you're just fucking letting yourself get loose, people are like, hell yeah, bro. They actually love it. They're like inspired. Like, man, they're actually inspired by it. There's been so many times where the dance floor was empty. And like where people are just like the energy is low, and I go and I'm just like, just giving it. All right, I don't give a fuck. I'm fucking having it. And next thing you know, little like people watch me, and I could feel them watching me. And next thing you know, everybody's letting loose. I've inspired people just to let go with me.
You're speaking about a typical night bar or by a rave party?
A rave party. But even at a night bar, but yeah, no more rave party because people are always like too shy. I don't want to look dumb. I don't want to look dumb.
Night party, it might be fire. It would like me more of a rejection type, like this guy.
Oh yeah. Like, I guess. Yeah, if you're like at a restaurant or if you're like at a work meeting or if you're at like fucking like a fucking like an outdoor like something, but yeah. But no, but I thought we were talking about like partying where it's like
right, definitely. Where a wild party, I want to go. I do want to hit that place because I feel I need it, and like I'm just limited. I just can't.
You have to have control though. You can't be around hurting people. Go around hurting people and like being a problem.
No, it'll be confidence, love, myself. And
yeah, people love a confident man, but yeah, no one likes a fucking problem. No one likes. Yeah, no. One thing is I have really good control, even when I'm on drugs and I'm fucking crazy. Like I don't fucking lose my mind. It's crazy how sound my mind is, even on drunk blackout. Like you know how some people get messed up and next thing you know it's like ooh, another thing takes over them and they're like, oh, I did all kinds of messed up shit. Like I rarely get like that, even under super amount of like 10 times the amount of drugs you should do. Like I still have control.
Great.
Yeah, it's really great, man. It's really good.
It's your subconscious mind it has a good effect on you. So even though it kicks in, it's still doing a good job. It's not letting.
But I think it's self-preservation as well because I know that I want, even though I'm very confused about life and I'm very curious and I'm very unsatisfied with life, I know that going to prison is not gonna make me happy or help me probably in theory. Like I thought these things to myself, but who knows? It'd probably be a fine thing. I'd be fine. But like there's some things I've tried to avoid, which is getting my time wasted, being in jail or being injured or becoming killed, like these things. And so you have to that natural ability to like have fun, like not let yourself put yourself there. Like, you know, if you fucking, lose it. Like, I don't fucking lose it because I don't want to ruin my chance, my whole life chance on something so nothing.
Yes. We're, just curious, I'm from New York. Like, where are you from?
I was born in California, but I moved to Wisconsin when I was young, and so I'm like from California, Wisconsin. I'm like half California, half Wisconsin. But I live in New Mexico right now. I've lived in a bunch of different states.
Got it.
I've never been to New York.
Oh no,
Have you ever been to?
I wasn't around so much. I was around the world, but in America itself, I wasn't just in neighborhood.
Where were you born?
In neighborhood state here in New York.
Really, I kind of thought you were a foreigner. I thought you were like I felt like your accent was not United States. That's interesting.
Right. Everyone comes across that.
Why? But why though? Why though? Are your parents like from some Eastern European thing?
Right. Actually, my father was born in Germany, but he came here when he was a young boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say either sound German or I was gonna say Holland.
But it might be okay. So this is another thing that I was like thinking about. Like, how did this come to me? And I was starting to ask my mother, does she remember? Because I knew that I had speech problems when I was growing up, when like 3-4 years old. I had a very hard time speaking. So I went to ask my mother if, like the therapist, I had a speech therapist, if she remembers if she had an English accent or like she was maybe also like had an accent if she wasn't American. And my mother doesn't recall. I think that would be very important information for me to know, because if it would be that, I would have contributed to that to say, oh, my speech therapist did it for me.
It sounds like you're
Because I
putting. It
believe,
sounds like you're putting in hand. Like I feel like you, not to like judge you too harsh on it, but it sounds like the way your thoughts are coming out. It sounds like the way your processes have been working is putting not a victim, but borderline victim mentality. Like letting the world have like you're having to deal with what the world did to you versus what the world has to deal with based on you. And the reason I say that is because I noticed one thing, and I'm very curious. Let me ask you this: you're probably never been asked this, but it's deep. One thing I love about talking to you, and I fucking love it. I'm talking like I like it a lot. You do not say at all. I don't think I've heard you say at all, or not too much. And you don't say after sentences. Let me ask you this: is this conscious? Did you train this into yourself, or are you just natural? Is that something that you don't even think about? Why? Like, how come you don't say?
Why I don't say and
Yeah. Did you ever say it and then realize you said it and then say I'm not going to say this anymore, or you just never wanted to say it?
First of all, I guess actually, when someone tells me I feel not good about it.
Exactly. But then so you stop saying it yourself, right? Based on that.
But I don't remember. I don't know if it's like my nature. That's why I don't like it. Other people. That's why I don't use it. Or
exactly. Yeah, dude. No, I think it is conscious, bro. Because let me tell you, that I fucking pick people. Like I could separate people from that based on that. Like when I talk to someone and I don't hear and it's not a guarantee because sometimes there's random variation. That really shows me something because what I notice is the people who are very unconscious. I'm talking super unconscious. They say and a lot. You ever notice that?
Because they're not even conscious of they need to first bring it to their consciousness. So it's like takes time. So like when they're figuring it out with the other people around them at the same time, so they start saying,
So they give up because they don't yet. They're like, whoa, everyone's doing it. So it must not be a problem.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have you noticed that? Did you notice I don't say it? Did you notice that I don't say it? Or
No. I actually, as I said, I didn't have any long conversation with others, but I just listened to a lot of language. I did listen to others, so maybe that itself, I picked up that it's a negative thing when you say, might be that I picked up from just listening, but definitely not from speaking, because I never spoke with someone. I had never spoke on a for like a 45-minute hour.
Is this your first time?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Wow, dude. Wow. What an honor. What an honor, man. I really, really am honored that you gave me a chance, man, that you came in tonight. What a random event this was. What a random event this was. But I'll tell you, but I'll tell you, I purposefully stopped saying I cut it out of. Have you noticed that I haven't said it at not one time? I have not said once.
Now I'm now looking back and I see I didn't even realize myself that that's a negative, and I didn't realize that I'm not using it and you're not using it, so we are more to the positive. It's like it's more of mind to ourselves. I just thought randomly, if someone is a good thing, you don't have to convince. A bad thing, you know what I mean? You don't have to start saying, What I know. You don't have to tell me what I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I also agree.
Why does someone even tell me,
Yeah, because it's just they just do it because they hear other people doing it. But there's another factor about it. But it's not only is it like that, what you just said, but part of that that disgusted me about saying, when I was like, I'm a very big, I keep saying the term analytical observer kind of deal. When I noticed, so I would watch, because like how we mentioned, sociology, psychology. So when I'm sitting here, let's say I go to a bar and I'm like, okay, let me find out the guy who gets the best result. Boom, the guy who's the most confident, the most alpha. I try to pick it apart. What aspects of this man or this person is desirable or effective, and stuff like this. Well, what I noticed is about the light. I felt like based on that, it's a 2-part thing, but I felt like there's conscious and unconscious. It goes back to that. Saying and because you're not being conscious. It's just because you can say it, so you do. Now, when you're conscious, every word you say is controlled. Now, based on that, different results. Because I think just how, for example, if you act a certain way, people are gonna treat you a certain way. If you talk a certain way, people are gonna treat you a certain way. And I was like, well, let me become optimal.
Now you make me feel good. Because I was starting off the conversation, about the voice, and you were telling me it's more the content. And now I understand it more deeper, because it's the content. If you say you have the most masculine voice, but it just brings you down when you
Right.
start saying speaking so but if you have the right mind, it would
Very
shine
controlled.
through the voice. It would shine
Right.
through the voice. The voice wouldn't
Or the
not
chance, it has the
be.
chance to. It's all the variability here. Like people will still love your voice even though you say and but there's a chance they don't want to hear you no more because of that. There's a chance. It's not a guarantee. There's no guarantees in life, but it definitely that you want to put the odds in your favor or the odds of power. You want to give yourself a chance. It's like you don't want to go swimming with cement shoes. If you're gonna go swimming, hey, take off your shoes. Pretty much off in the better.
Okay. And I'm now recalling myself. I do listen to here there too. I don't know if you. I'm just taking a risk. I don't know if you like him or not. I do listen to Ben Shapiro, and then I realize now his voice.
Yeah, I listen to Ben Shapiro all the time.
He doesn't have the best voice, but he has.
I don't mind his voice. I get what you're saying. Like his voice is not like, but I do like. Yeah. That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example of a guy who his thoughts outshine his voice for sure. That's funny.
Yeah,
I do listen to Ben Shapiro. I'm more of a right winger kind of guy. I lean right.
Okay, that's where I stand. Common sense. Okay, here we go. I took a big risk, I think you took a big risk, but trust me, you're the opposite of risk here. I am the opposite of, I'm open-minded, baby. You took a risk and it was a pure success because to me, it's all about power and truth. I don't give a fuck about other, honestly, I'm not, dude. No, because I thought to myself, I could get the phone, I could have pissed, no, I thought to myself, I could piss off that person. He felt so good an hour, and I'll just say, maybe I speak to Ben Shapiro, he'll feel so, I'm actually beyond now speaking with a lunatic.
I'm a mist, bro. Think about the term mystic. Now you have leaders, you have followers, you have wolves, you have all these little. Think of the term mysticism, phenomenology, philosophy. I am beyond. I'm on such a deep level until I die. Dude. You wouldn't. No. Let's look up now. If you told me that you listen to NPR and Pelosi Nance. Obama's podcast, would then I be if you lose me? Am I minded? Ouch. I check myself here. I probably would be. I wouldn't, but I would be hey, I'm quadruple vaxxed, and I wear 3. I probably would be fuck this dude.
What about if you were speaking about this? What about if you think of this idea? If Donald Trump with Tulsi Gabbard run together,
beautiful. Beautiful, man. I think beautiful. I think that's great, man. I love Donald Trump as a president, not as a person, but I love him as a president. Tulsi, I love her as a. Yeah.
Tulsi, I think it would. I think it's a good match. I
like anti-establishment people. I like anti-establishment. What's the word? The long word? Disestablishmentarianism. You ever heard that word? Disestablishmentarianism. That's a real word. I think.
I get the point. Yeah, there is the tyranny, the black tape, the red tape.
Well, I know what they're doing. They're doing it for numbers. They're doing it for numbers. I can't hate on them for that. Sure, who wouldn't want to own the world? Sure, who wouldn't want to slave? Sure, but. Once you realize, separate, man. Not you, but I myself here, metaphorically. I was like, man, that's them. They gotta do. I was like, you don't that's not you. You can't sit there. I'm not trying to be Mr. I want to stay my world and not to be stupid, but stay my world because they could eat. They have so many people just droned out lies. I say, dude, you don't have to let them have you. You don't have.
I'll be honest. I don't hear you so clear the last minute. It's
really? Hey, maybe because we start talking about this. What if that's conspiracy? Oh God, we start talking about some now we're
podbean. Yes, controlling. Oh yes, okay. Now it's better.
Because the second we talk about politics, the second I start saying I love Trump,
they switch.
Shut him down. Shut him down.
Yes. Shut him down. Okay, so we'll speak about someone else. But I.
Well, yeah, you didn't lose me at all, brother. I like Ben
Tulsi
Shapiro.
Gabbard.
Yeah,
Did you listen to Tulsi Gabbard here or there?
what's here there? Are you saying have
I
I
mean,
ever
like
heard
you.
her?
Yeah, if you ever heard
Yeah,
her
I have.
live
I've
or
listened to her on Joe Rogan. I liked her a lot.
okay,
Which
so
and I
yeah,
know.
and
Yeah.
I think it would be a very smart move, but I'm not giving the because like I think like Trump would take maybe a Carrie Lake, maybe a running
Interesting.
mate,
Interesting.
and I don't
You know who
think
I think would be better? You know who I think would be even better?
who
I'm gonna throw two
Hillary
options at you.
Clinton.
No. Donald Trump and Kanye West, or
Oh, okay. It will be messy.
no,
I'll tell you why it'd be
but
messy because everyone would
Kanye
say
West is a messy guy, dude. Kanye West is a messy fuck.
because he would want to do
But
something
I
with the
like it
long
because
day.
it's still I like the idea of getting politicians out of politics
Yeah, but
because
but he doesn't want to
something about
sit quiet the whole
politicians.
day.
No, but exactly
Do you
that's the
think?
thing. We've always had politicians. We've always had politicians run and then in politics. I like Donald Trump because not because I'm fucking racist, but because he was a actor, a real estate guy. Like he wasn't a lifelong politician. He got in. He just was like, "I'll fucking do it for fun."
Hmm
Kanye and
hmm
like I like that. Like getting
It
because I feel
relates
like
to
if you're
people more. It relates to a
well,
person
no,
more.
because
Like
like think about a politician. Like that means like they're embedded deep into the political psyche. They're deep into the zeitgeist of a politician. Like I feel like
yes,
I feel like the chance of corruption or the chance of loyalty to the political enterprise is too high there. I love the concept of putting politicians like let's try it without politicians. Like let's put it but let me tell you my option two. Alex Jones and Trump. What about Alex Jones and Trump?
Oh, okay. So that's the option. The thing here, the vice president. Maybe I'm not. I don't know what the role of vice president, but vice president, at the end of the day, is just a quiet figure of the president. It means to say it's. I don't know if it's supposed to be active. It's supposed to be a quiet. Some way it would. If something goes wrong, he's ready to take over. And we're
That's
still
interesting.
good
You're
with
right.
that.
You're right. Like let's think about like the last few presidents. Trump before Trump, Obama before Obama, George W. Bush before George W. Bush, fucking Clinton, I believe, who's before George W. Bush. Clinton probably, right? So, but think about it.
Yes.
Do we know any of did they like the vice president really ain't never did shit. Like the vice president
So
was never on.
Biden, like actually, Biden was a vice president once. Just
Yeah, and he wasn't relevant until he got like
He's not
until
relevant. That's what I'm saying. It's not healthy to put very active people vice president because then you're like limiting them. Like I can picture myself putting vice president Kanye because it's like not degrading him. It's like putting him in a shoebox. And
but what if that's only because of the political leadership? What if they actually are like they're not taking advantage of their vice president? Imagine Kanye West as vice president. Next thing you know, he is just as active as the president. It's because not vice presidents were never meant to be secondary. They were meant to be up there with him, and then it's like almost like
question. What is their role? Is it
like what if they? I think they have the potential to be great.
Secondary, or they should be an active secondary.
I would like to at least see it because we haven't seen it yet. We have not seen a active secondary. I think that it would be better. Like it'd be cool if instead of saying that the president is the commander in chief of the free world army, say the president and the vice president are the leader. Like because then you could have a dynamic duo. That's like Ash and Pikachu. Like Ash wasn't walking around like I'm the Pokemon master. Like he was like, man, me and Pikachu. He let Pikachu walk outside the. I don't know if you're familiar with Pokemon. Are you?
No, but I got to hear this Pikachu. That works.
Like okay, well let me give you a metaphor because Ash, what they did in Pokemon is a thing where everybody. Just rinsing your hands quick. But let me tell you this, just real last little metaphor because I think it's beautiful. One thing I was raised on Pokemon. I was born in 1991, and that's right around like so. I always like looking back on it. I didn't even think about this for a long time, but it's kind of funny because Ash was the Pokemon are each other, but then we put them away. Like, you're the master.
Wait a second. Change topics. I don't hear you clear. Change topics.
All right,
The signal.
all right. Well, I think okay because I think I know it's whenever I get next to this fan. Let me turn this fan off. Let me turn this fan off. All right, so now we're getting to have to wear
now
the
I
last
can
20
curse.
minutes. And let me tell you something. You didn't know this, but I didn't know this either. Based on this content, based on our conversation, I am going to make this an episode of my podcast. You have earned, and you've earned, and it's so funny because not only is this becoming a social suicide episode 61, but this is your first time really doing long form, and what a moment to catch on record. And not only is it caught on record, but it's actually going to become content, because to make content, it has to be, I like to have longer content and quality content, and I think this has made the bar. I think someone's gonna put this on and listen. I think this has cut the bar of a show, and so I've decided my show is Social Suicide, and be on the listen for it. If you want to hear yourself, I'm going to publish this for the world, sir. So I don't know how you feel about that, but
I don't know how to react to that, because I'm not sure if to tell you, no, take it, do me a favor.
Well, you can't tell me that. Even if you told me that, I probably wouldn't.
Know.
But listen. I mean, I probably would. If you told me you really don't, I probably wouldn't.
The question is what type of position I should be. I should be grateful, or I should be like, let me first listen to it. Let me learn to listen to it. Maybe it's too much dumb shit when I'm speaking.
No, well, think about this. Like, let's say you're a guy. Think about the listener. Think about someone out there in the world, and they follow the show, or they don't follow the show, but then they don't have, like, they've listened to all, and they just need something to listen to. And would this conversation be something that somebody would be willing to put on and actually hear it through, not lose interest or find insight, be entertained even?
Okay, we'll see how it works. If someone else would enjoy it, hopefully, maybe that would be enough a reason I should just go with the flow.
I don't know. What do you think? Based on the way the conversation started and all the concepts, do you think that would be enjoyable to hear that play out?
As I said, I'm not good with. I'm just like Mewell for myself, so I don't even know what people would view. I don't even know how I view myself in some way. So, like, I would start. It's very hard for me to evaluate it as an outsider. So, like, it's like.
But you listen to podcasts. I'm sure sometimes you listen to a podcast.
But I didn't listen to myself ever. I never listened to myself ever.
You're not bad, man. It's not bad. Your voice is not as good as you think.
Okay. Yes. Whatever. We'll be good.
Let me ask you this.
We'll take. Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for?
First of all, I'm grateful.
Pretend you're talking to him. Thank you. Go ahead.
Again?
Bright.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead and ask me. Yeah, I can hear you. One of my admins came on the show. For anybody who's listening, I am joined here by, what's your call name, brother? Like, what should I call you? What is Jack? Okay, go by
Jack B.
Jack B?
Yeah.
Jack and the Giant Beanstalk? No, I'm just kidding. So
Jack out of the box.
Jack out of the box. Dang, that's actually pretty swag, because you always think of Jack in the box. You're Jack.
Yeah.
No, Jack. You should add that to your name. You should make your name Jack out of the box. I like that.
Yeah, Jack out of the box, and it's
that's fresh.
Out of the box. It's popping.
Popping?
It's not even going. Yeah,
it's popping.
Out of the box.
Dang, dude, I got a pulse in my penis with that one. No, I'm just kidding. All right, folks. Getting derailed here. Okay, no, but so I host my show. For anybody who doesn't know who I am, Rico Roxx is a podcaster on Podbean, and I am available everywhere. Please follow. Rico is RICO and Roxx is ROM at Rico Roxx 221 at gmail.com to get the conversation started. And yes, so thank you for listening to Social Suicide Podcast. Now, Jack, one of my closing questions for you is based on everything. And hell, you told me you listen to Ben Shapiro, and I still didn't abandon you. Based on that,
yes.
Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, so I listen to Ben Shapiro it's not because I'm just trying to pick up knowledge, not that I. Just in general.
Right, you trust him as a source of knowledge.
He's one of the sources what I could believe that he is not like...
Lex Friedman,
Andrew Huberman, These people are
Joe Rogan,
Joe Rogan. All these people, they're
Rico Roxx. Woo! Okay.
all these people are speaking their mind off. So how fucked could it be? If someone is telling you what to say, that could be really messed up. If you're speaking your mind off,
They're not part. You obviously don't trust the system. You obviously don't trust
no.
the system, which is great. Which is great. You're conscious. You know that the unconscious are being led by people who are greedily conscious.
I learned it the hard way.
The-
I saw upfront a little bit mismanagement at government. So I just determined if a business doesn't go like that, if it's so mismanaged like that, it means like it's not. I don't know.
Control, dude. Control is a big word there.
I don't know how to say. I don't want to say corrupt, but it's like if it's mismanaged, it's not running the same.
Corrupt is a good word. Corrupt is a good word.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even want to.
Because it's corruption, brother. It's corruption, bro. How come there's people starving in the fucking hood, and then yet there's people on yachts?
Okay, so
that's corruption.
Right, I don't understand that, but let's say the most basic thing. Let's say when you have an office. You have some basic customer service. You have a store. You do. I see a store could be more functional, more customer service than the government itself. That is already.
Well, how about this? What about the term monopoly? What about the term monopoly? Let's say you don't want to use corruption because it sounds paranoid. What about say they're monopolizing?
They're disconnected. They're disassociation with human. With the grant.
Based on monopolization, right? Based on them.
We the people. It's not. It's like we were supposed to. They were supposed to be our representatives. We are the people. Meanwhile, we are their representatives. Like we feel it's the other.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You said something really great. I really love what you just said. We the people. Wow, how great. Let me ask you this. As a fellow American,
yes.
What do you think about that? Like, have you ever done what do you think about the Constitution? The fact that we live and breathe on that. Like, what do you think that have you ever looked deep into researching the Constitution? Okay. Have you ever looked deep into that? What do you think about the role of the Constitution in our contemporary modern life?
Okay, so as I said, I'm not. If the country would have followed the Constitution how it was grounded, and it was grounded to be socialism, I have a choice to be here or not. And if I choose not to be, it's my choice. But to go off the rails and say this is what the Constitution or this is what our country wants and this is a better progress for our country. We cannot deny it. If it's different from what the founding fathers wanted, we need to say it's different. It's not in their spirit. I'm not saying if it's great or not. I'm just saying if we stick to our rules always, that's an advantage.
So what do you think? Do you think we're sticking to them, or do you think we're not?
No, because I believe they're listening to conversations where they weren't supposed to, and I'm not paranoid, but I believe they listen.
Don't stutter. You're good. You're good.
I believe they listen to conversation without the legal, the most legal, ethical way.
Oh, you're talking about privacy in this? Ooh, interesting. Most people don't talk about privacy, but a lot of people talk about gun rights and
privacy number one.
Wow, really? You know what my number one is? Can I tell you my number one?
Yes.
Freedom of speech.
Ooh.
Above all, freedom. Fuck, you can hear what I'm saying, but let me say what the fuck I gotta say.
Oh, so because you told me you're putting away the podcast for the world, I in some way I get scared, this is going to haunt me.
No, I don't give a fuck, dude. I could die at any moment. I cherish each moment, and I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm telling you, that's why Rico Roxx, I get a bad rap sometimes because I honestly freedom. I'll say nigger. I don't give a fuck.
Oh.
No, because I know, because people get
what is it? It's a country.
No, because anybody who would, if I say that, I'm not gonna say it again just because I don't want to, but just the fact that someone would say, get a negative feeling, let's analyze that. If I said something, a word with no intent, I just said a word. Now I lose credit. Now I get dismissed. Really? Is that I feel like that's the system brainwashing free people into slavery mentally, because now they have somehow convinced people that a word with no context is worth dismissing a great mind for. So that's why I stand on freedom of speech, because there's we need to, so you're saying that me saying a bad word is offensive, but yet the slavery of mankind is not? I don't fall for it. But so that's where freedom of speech is my main thing, because as soon as they lock away, as soon as they control speech and expression, they're gonna chop off one of our best weapons.
I don't know if I do listen once in a while to Alan Dershowitz. It's very interesting because I'm not the one who has the platform. I'm the listener. But he says that the spirit of freedom of speech is a two-way street. It's the freedom of speaking it and give the opportunity the listener to hear it. So I feel
yes, but freedom of speech, yeah.
So like basically, I'm not in the maybe you like for you like the mine first thing came privacy because maybe you had the mic and you feel it more painful.
I'm just convinced we don't have privacy at this turn. Like, look, based on our society, I am convinced. Rico Roxx is convinced. I feel like they could access my fucking location constantly. They have access to my mic. I feel like they do.
They'll tell you gave a consent. You don't know because when you open up
or even if they tell you they don't do it, I feel like they do. Even if they say that, no, of course we don't. You have your private. I feel like the people who are running the shit.
Yeah. Do
you know going to use it?
Do you know Twitter people, workers? All of them wasn't like they had access to all the DMs from people. You know that,
right? Exactly, they do, man. They whenever the Hunter Biden thing came out, and like there was a link that they were actually banning you from, like, if let's say you were doing a private chat in instant messenger on Facebook and you sent the video or the pictures of the Hunter Biden thing, they would actually delete them. They would actually not let the person receive those.
Even though they
once
had
they seen
in
that
in the DM from people, it wasn't even on tweet.
Exactly.
Oh my.
Yeah, even though it was on your Facebook, they had like not only are they having the filters of
welcome to the new America. Okay. That's for sure not the America what I don't, again, I'm not such a, I don't know the Constitution.
Yeah, but you're right. You reinforce it. I haven't been really putting much attention on privacy, but I think privacy is very important.
If we follow the same thing always, I have a choice. Either I like it or not, and if I don't like it, I can find myself a new country. But
don't give up either. But I mean, but let me ask you this. Like, I just want to tell you, do not give up, man. Fight for it, because I'll tell you, it's a fight we're fighting for. You don't want to be an 80-year-old man and say, "Oh, I let them take me as a slave and I went along with it." You know.
My point is like this: if our founding fathers, I don't know exactly what they thought, and I'm not a scholar, but if they like socialism and we are going in that way, we're following the principles what this country was built on. But the situation
I'll tell you this.
Not like that. The situation is we are not following their ways. So there's no right. There should be
right. We're kind of, but it's slipping. It's slipping quick.
And for sure, that's a wrong thing. That's why on itself face
value.
But
is it? I don't think it is. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I think it has the potential, because I want to say two main factors here. First of all, I looked up what the population of a long time ago. I looked this up, not right now, but when the day that the Declaration or the whatever was founded, it was 2 million people on the continent of the United States. 2 million people on the whole 50 states. Now, when the founding fathers signed it. Now, based on today with 350,000 million, based on 2 million. Think about the growth there. Think about, okay, they've designed
for 2 million.
For 2 million. So we live it, like, it has to change. I feel like it has to change, but I don't want it to change for slavery. I want it to evolve and update. I need an update for the masses, because we have too many people to where the old Constitution is not, it's giving us a baseline of like a base. It's like a foundation of a house, but now we're just sleeping outside on the foundation. No, we need to build a house now. We need to build a fucking layer, and that's going to be built. Yeah. But let me ask you this:
because could be the founding fathers were very rigid, and they said to themselves, and even the conditions change. We want to still stick with this.
Yeah, but they can't predict it. You could predict that until you're blue in the face, but you don't know how it will change. Right, but you can say,
but then we need to declare the founding fathers we're not continuing. They founded it, but we're leaving it. Well, let's be straight up about it.
What is 350 divided by 2? But that's got to be at least 17, 18.
What, 300 million?
18. So that's 18 times as big. The population has grown by 18 times since they did that.
What, it was 2 million then? And now it's
but I simplified it.
Now it's 350. So it's
Yeah.
it's 175 million
Yeah,
times.
so 175 times as big of a population.
Yeah,
I think.
175. Yeah.
I think the Constitution, as great and profound as it is, it's becoming almost the people who are trying to defend it. They're starting to look. They're going to start losing those battles to the corrupt based on the fact that it's not like right. It's just like trying to say, oh, we're going to build a new car, we're going to build these new chassis, but still we're going to have the old horses. Like, okay, we need to go the horse. Like, let's add fucking gasoline. We need to evolve somehow here. And this is, I do feel like the Constitution is not going to last forever based on that. But I want to ask you this because we only have 5 minutes left.
Yes.
Because you love privacy, and I think I have something that you'll really like here because I've thought about this concept of privacy, and in a world where the surveillance state, and all this, all like your phone is tracking. I was thinking you can walk, you can get, like there's cameras on all the street lights, and they got satellites like the Google Earth. And I was like, where can a man escape if a man needs some privacy? If a man needs to just go somewhere where no one could see him.
He doesn't want to escape. It's just the idea that you're not private.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Let me finish my question.
It throws me off already.
Yeah, but but my question is, where in our public life, like everyone has access to it, but I wonder if you realize where it is. Where in our day-to-day life is the most private place you can go?
Human to human.
No, like where's the location? Like let's say you're just a guy in a normal town somewhere. Like, if you want to go somewhere,
eye to eye, that's the best.
No, but like no, what do you mean?
Like two people meet. And like
no, but what if you want nobody to see you? Where can you go where nobody can see you individually? Like if you just want to find a nice private place where there ain't like watching you, because even if you go to a library or you go like even if you're walking down the street at night on a path, they could be watching you from satellite. Where's somewhere that you can go where they haven't corrupted yet? There's only a few places.
Under the blankets.
Nope. The public restrooms.
Oh yeah, but there I'm not so sure. There could have been already people putting in video cameras just to be.
Yeah, but like that's the one where like the society. No, but like that like you haven't heard about that. We haven't heard about that yet. Like if they're doing it, it's under the radar. Like think about it. Isn't that so great? I love public bathrooms. Like that's the one place where they're not allowed to do
it.
Everyone agrees.
But you can have a creeped up guy doing it.
You get it, but exactly. So I love public bathrooms. Can we give a shout out to public bathrooms being?
Well, let's sell it. 50% off. Go online. Just get a public bathroom.
Yeah. No, because I was sitting in a public bathroom once, and I was like, wow, I finally feel like I'm not being watched. I was like, and this is a big.
Seats for the public bathrooms.
Dude, I love public bathrooms, man. Because what if one day they're like, oh, now we have to put cameras in there? Because what if one day, next thing you know, like, mark my words, like, you could look back and say, oh, Rico Roxx predicted it. But what if one day they even take that and they're like, nope, we're going to have, like, because I feel like they do that. They've incorporated, like, public cameras in all this over. Public bathrooms is one of the few old school places where it's like, oh, no, gotta stay out there.
Okay. Yes.
I love public bathrooms, man.
Okay.
Because that's where, like, it's like, you got to be private. You have to let them go in there. You can't look at them with their pee-pee. You can't look at them. Under the blanket, yeah. Under the blanket's cool, but then they have all the devices in your room watching you. So.
Oh, okay.
So similar to the bathroom.
Okay.
Thank you for the talk, man. We got 4 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to end this here, brother. Thank you, Jack, for giving Rico Roxx Social Suicide a great episode. What an honor it was.
Yes. It was a pleasure to do that, and I hope it was was beneficial for me.
You truly talk the talk, and you walk the walk, baby.
It might be beneficial to anyone else. So just.
Yeah, no, it is, man. Because think about all the people who are just listening to drones or people who are not conscious. Like this is consciousness at its highest form, baby. Pure consciousness, mystic talking to whatever the fuck you are.
I'm aware that I have like shortcomings. Like I should maybe go to the gym, hit the gym, do some breathing work. That might be more.
I mean, I'm sure you do something, right? I'm sure, like, you have your powerful moments.
Yes. But
yeah, it's a balance. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, I let myself down a lot, but I make myself proud a lot.
Because I don't think no one's going to tell you these things. You're not going to hear it from.
Right, but at the same time, it's also you're battling against the
best thing what you could do for yourself, and you're not going to hear it. They don't sell it in the street, and they don't sell it in the doctor's office. So just. Love yourself.
Right. Breathe, baby. Breathe. Everyone's got to breathe and think about it because placebo.
They can't take it away from you. No one can take it away.
Placebo is a big factor too.
Yes.
Placebo effect. All that. All right, I gotta fucking.
prácticamente.
Yeah, and they could hurt, they could take away your freedom, they could lock you in a cage, they could do anything they want to, but they cannot take your mind unless you give it to them. Your mind. They could even take away your breath, but you don't have to give them you could give them your breath before you give them your mind. The mind is the last frontier of. Yes. All right, folks, we literally have I'm trying to find something I could play for you here. Just real quick. All right, I'm going to play this random song here. It's called Dark Hole. It's one of my more experimental folks. After this show's over, love you guys. Thank you. Please listen to this, Jack. I'll be offended if you leave before this. Social Suicides, episode 61, y'all.
This is your world. This is your fucking world. This Matrix world is Rico Roxx. Drop the click to my life collapses. I only got 3 eyes, no side. Don't treat me like a child. You turn around and turn right to the long side. Cause your heart aches me and ours, I said that's sarcastic. They say I lost my heart and it's stone. I can't let it go. What is a star and what is hard to the touch? Is it all too much or is it not enough? Happiness and hopelessness, lines too thin to gauge. Am I on point or out of focus? Cause that's an even thinner line than the previous. You can watch some mistakes. Deliberate, no serious, that's
Pause the tape. Let's give a big shout out to Chris. Big Chris. I didn't mean to ignore you, but one of my admins who never shows up, but he still has admin. I usually don't let people be admin if they're not active, but Chris has been one of the main admins, and I'll never take it away from him because I love him so much. All right, Chris, back to the song here.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Slips need to fucking be a thing. Why do things expose themselves as the thing that will bring it all down? Rico Roxx will die with long depressed. I use the blood of my enemies to forge the stone from sounds. You can't repeat my group, it's a shell, cause I'm carrying my songs with a silver stone tablets. Washing's more than just a habit.
Damn, y'all, the best part's coming up, but I can't play it. 5 seconds left. Free your mind, free your mind, free your mind. If you want to hear the rest, Rico Roxx, SoundCloud. Free your mind, everybody. Bye.